I'm going to keep this straightforward because the biggest question most of us face when looking at a high-end office chair is whether it actually solves the everyday problems we have, or just adds another price tag to a home office that already feels cramped. I've spent a few weeks testing a couple of mid-range ergonomic chairs, and then I set the Humanscale Diffrient Smart in the same spot to see how it behaves when you're moving between a video call, a stack of paperwork, and a long stretch of coding. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the thing that makes this chair different from the typical adjust and lock models is the self-adjusting recline. There's no lever to pull or knob to turn. The mechanism automatically finds a balance point based on how much weight you're putting on the seat. In practice, that means if you lean forward to type, the chair stays upright, but when you push back to relax, it gently tilts without you having to think about it. I found that especially helpful during marathon Zoom sessions where I'd naturally shift between a forward-leaning posture and a more reclined one. The transition was smooth, and I never felt the jolt that some other recline systems give you when the tension suddenly kicks in. The backrest also pivots a little on its own as you recline, which the brand calls extra motion. It's subtle, but it lets the mesh follow the curve of your spine instead of forcing you into a fixed angle. For someone who spends a lot of time reading documents on a secondary monitor, that extra give can reduce the strain on the lower back that you often feel after a few hours of static seating. The mesh itself is a 3-panel, non-stretch design. It breathes better than a solid foam back, and because it's form-sensing, it conforms to your torso without compressing like a typical cushion. On a warm day, I didn't notice any sweaty patches, which is something I've struggled with on other mesh chairs that tend to stick after an hour. Now, let's talk about the arms. The Diffrient Smart comes with adjustable Duron arms that you can move up and down, in and out, and even rotate a bit. The adjustments are smooth, but they're not as granular as some high adjustability chairs that let you set the arm height in half-centimeter increments. If you have a very specific ergonomic setup, say you're using a standing desk and need the arms to stay low enough not to interfere, those limited increments could feel a bit restrictive. However, for most people who keep a single desk height, the range is more than enough to keep shoulders relaxed. One practical concern that often gets missed in spec sheets is the casters. This model ships with carpet-friendly casters, and that's a genuine plus if you work on a plush rug or a low-pile carpet. They roll silently and don't dig in, which means you can move the chair without dragging it across the floor and creating a loud squeak that could disrupt a meeting. On hardwood, they slide a little more than you'd like, so you might want to add a thin floor protector if you're worried about scratches. From a value perspective, the chair's price is positioned in the premium tier, but you're not just paying for a fancy name. The intelligent recline and the mesh back work together to provide continuous lumbar support without the need for separate lumbar cushions. In my testing, the lower back felt supported whether I was leaning forward, sitting upright, or reclining. That consistency is something I've seen missing in chairs that rely on a static lumbar pad that can feel either too hard or too soft depending on posture. Who should buy this? If you spend more than 4 hours a day at a desk, especially if you toggle between focused work and relaxed reading, the automatic recline and mesh back will likely make a noticeable difference in comfort. It's also a solid pick for people who have a home office set up on carpet or a low-pile rug because the casters are designed for that surface. Folks who appreciate a minimal adjustment workflow where the chair does the fine-tuning for you will enjoy the set-it-and-forget-it feel of the recline mechanism. Who should skip it? If you're a gamer who needs rapid, extreme recline angles or a chair that can be locked in a deep lean position for long gaming sessions, the Diffrient Smart's recline range is more moderate, and you might prefer a chair with a lockable tilt. Similarly, if you work at a standing desk and need the arms to sit very low, the arm adjustment steps might not be precise enough. And, of course, if your budget is tighter than the mid-range ergonomic market, you could find a decent alternative that offers manual recline and similar mesh comfort for less. The practical weaknesses are subtle but worth mentioning. The chair's seat cushion is fairly thin compared to some competitors that use thick foam. On very hard floors, it can feel a little firm after a couple of hours, which is something to